Randy, committee reports? Messages, Senator Cooper.
Privilege of the floor, Mr. President.
Granted.
A couple things I'd like to talk about real quick. One of them, I'd like to have Mr. Ryman come into the room if you could. Can you bring Mr. Ryman in? Yeah, Jeremiah's out there in the hallway. Can you bring him in? Jeremiah Ryman, can you bring him in? Raymond? Yeah, I'm sorry. Jeremiah, can you come over here real quick? I don't know. Jeremiah does a lot of really good work. I'd really like to
Do that after messages from the House.
I'd like to recognize him for the work he does for the state, and as a bonus to him, he's a diehard fan of a university to the south of us. So since the boot is here in its rightful place, I thought maybe Mr. Raymond might like to get his picture taken with it. Maybe touch it a little so you can remember what it looks like, because it's going to be on this side of the border for a long, long time.
That's terrible.
Speech. Secondly, Mr. President,
Yes.
I think that boot really looks nice sitting there. And I've heard a rumor that it's supposed to go to the other end of the hallway tomorrow, and I'd like to make a motion that we just keep it down here. If they want it, come and get it.
You might be able to read about it. I heard it got stolen tonight. Senator Boner.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I have privilege of the floor?
Granted.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Visiting us here in the back of the Senate chamber, we have a very special group of people. John Kaiser is a local citizen here in Cheyenne. He's involved with Friendship Force International, which is a nonprofit cultural organization focused on promoting understanding cultural education and citizen diplomacy through homestay journeys and personal friendships. And so as a part of that program, today we have 4 members of parliament from the Republic of Uzbekistan, and they're here in the back. They want to just maybe come on the floor real quick so we can introduce them. We have, and I apologize ahead of time if I don't get the pronunciation exactly right, but we have Johanir Abdusaralov, Majuda Hasanova, and Sherzad Kolmatov, in addition to their facilitator, Bakram Tushev. And so I'd just like to extend a very warm Senate welcome. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're learning about our state politics and our business, and it's an honor to host you. So welcome to the Wyoming Senate.
Here, here.
Welcome. Thank you. That order of business, signing enrolled acts, enrolled act number 17, originally Senate File 6.
Senate Enrolled Act number 17, being original Senate File 6, an act relating to the insurance code authorizing specified insurance rebates, clarifying language in the unfair insurance discrimination and insurance rebate statutes, and authorizing rulemaking.
You got to read a message from the House first, I'm told.
From the House of Representatives, message number 323, February 13, 2023. Mr. President, House failed to concur on Senate amendments to House Bill 47, Election Equipment Federal Certifications, by the votes indicated. Ayes 6, noes 54, excused 2. Message number 324, Mr. President, House appointed House conferees to meet with a like committee number 1 from the Senate on amendments to House Bill 47. House conferees are Representative Olson, Chairman, Representative Chadwick, Representative Washut. Message number 321, Mr. President, the House adopted the Committee of the Whole report failing the following bills by the votes indicated. Senate File Number 74, Slow-Moving Vehicles Amendments, ayes 24, noes 36, excused 2. Message number 320, Senate File 158, Public Employee Retirement Plan Contributions, ayes 3, noes 55, excused 4. The bills have been indefinitely postponed. February 14, 2023. Message number 326. Mr. President, the following bills passed the House on third reading by the votes indicated. Senate File Number 18, Benefits for Spouses of Law Enforcement Members, ayes 60, noes 1, excused 1. Message number 327, Senate File Number 20, Driver's License and ID Card Photo Quality, ayes 40, noes 21, excused 1. Message number 329, Senate File 59, State Parks Account Agency Expenditure Authority, ayes 41, noes 20, excused 1. Message number 330, Senate File 63, Tax Administration Revisions, ayes 61, excused 1. Message number 331, Senate Joint Resolution 7, Support for Taiwan, ayes 58, noes 3, excused 1. Message number 333, Senate File Number 24, Financial Exploitation of Vulnerable Adults, ayes 36, noes 25, excused 1. Message number 332, Mr. President, Senate File 176, Solid Waste Disposal Districts Consolidation, passed on third reading in an amended form by the votes indicated. Ayes 62. The House respectfully asks the Senate to concur by adopting amendments. Message number 328, concurrence requested. Mr. President, the Senate File 41, Skill-Based Amusement Games Authorized Locations, passed on third reading in an amended form. Ayes 56, noes 5, excused 1. House respectfully asks the Senate to concur by adopting amendments. Signed, Katie Talbot, House Chief Clerk.
Thank you, Randy. Signing of enrolled acts. Senate Enrolled Act Number 17, originally Senate File 6.
Senate Enrolled Act Number 17, being original Senate File 6. An act relating to the insurance code, authorizing specified insurance rebates, clarifying language in unfair insurance discrimination and insurance rebate statutes, and authorizing rulemaking.
I'm signing Enrolled Acts, Senate Enrolled Act 17, originally Senate File Number 6. I have so signed. Senate Enrolled Act Number 18, originally Senate File 24.
Senate Enrolled Act Number 18, being original Senate File 24, an act relating to banks, banking, and finance, requiring financial institutions to report financial exploitation of vulnerable adults as specified, authorizing discretionary reporting of suspected financial exploitation of vulnerables to third parties, allowing temporary holds on transactions, providing immunity, requiring disclosure of financial records, providing definitions, and requiring rulemaking.
I'm signing Senate Enrolled Act Number 18, originally Senate File 24. I have so signed. Senate Enrolled Act Number 19, originally Senate File 63.
Senate Enrolled Act Number 19, being original Senate File 63, an act relating to taxation and revenue, clarifying the administration of certain taxes by the Department of Revenue, providing that the Department of Revenue may credit or waive interest related to mine product taxes, providing that any assessment or levy of sales and use taxes resulting from an audit or review shall be issued within a specified time of the audit or review.
I'm signing Senate Enrolled Act Number 19, originally Senate File 63. I have so signed. Senate Enrolled Act Number 20, originally Senate File Number 59.
Senate Enrolled Act Number 20, being original Senate File 59, an act relating to state lands, increasing the expenditure authority of the Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources for funds in the state parks account, and providing conforming amendments.
I'm signing Senate Enrolled Act number 20, originally being Senate File number 59. I have so signed. Senate Enrolled Act number 21, originally Senate File 20.
Senate Enrolled Act Number 21, being original Senate File 20, an act relating to driver's licenses and identification cards, striking the requirement for the photograph on the driver's license and identification card to be in color, authorizing rulemaking and providing for an effective date.
I'm signing Senate Enrolled Act 21, originally Senate File 20. I have so signed. Senate Enrolled Act number 22, originally Senate File number 18.
Senate Enrolled Act Number 22, being original Senate File 18, an act relating to administration of the government, amending death benefits for the Law Enforcement Retirement Plan and State Highway Patrol, Game and Fish Warden, and Criminal Investigator Retirement Plan, conforming provisions and specifying applicability.
Signing Senate Enrolled Act number 22, originally Senate File number 18. I have so signed. Senate Enrolled Joint Resolution number 1, originally Senate Joint Resolution number 7.
Enrolled Joint Resolution 1 of the Senate, being original Senate Joint Resolution 7, a joint resolution in support of Taiwan.
I'm signing Senate Joint Resolution number 1, originally Senate Joint Resolution number 7. Concurrences. Senator Dockstader, are you ready? Concurrence on Senate File 78.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is on message 300. Help me recall, do I need to move this? Read it in.
Message number 300, referencing Senate File 78, apprenticeship and job training promotion in schools.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move concurrence request on Senate File 78, message 300. Folks, this was a full support on both sides of the building. The Senate had the opportunity to amend it to put the on-the-job training opportunities on the school website. That was approved. This is clean slate on both sides. Double checked with the co-chair on that side of the building this morning. Everything is good, and ask your favorable approval. Thank you.
No questions. Roll call.
Concurrence vote, Senate File 78. Anderson? Aye. Baldwin?
Aye.
Aye. Barlow? Aye. Beitman? Aye. Boner? Aye. Bouchard? Aye. Brennan? Aye. Case? Aye. Cooper? Aye. Dockstader?
Aye.
Aye. Ellis? Aye. French? Aye. Murphy? Aye. Guru? Aye. Hicks? Aye. Hutchings? Aye. Ide? Aye. Jones? Aye. Kinski? Aye. Kolb? Aye. Landon? Aye. Larson? Aye. McEwen? Aye. Nethercott? Aye. Pappas? Aye. Rothfuss? Aye. Salazar? Aye. Schuler? Aye. Scott? Aye. Steinmetz? Aye. President Driscoll?
Aye.
Aye. Closing vote. Closing vote closed. Senate File 78 concurrence, 31 aye.
Thank you. Concurrence on message number 300, Senate File 78 has passed the Senate. Andy, do you have anything left to read in? Or committee report?
February 14, 2023. Mr. President, your committee number 6, Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, and Cultural Resources, to whom is referred House Bill 83, Tribal Agreements to Hunt and Fish, respectfully reports same back to the Senate with the recommendation that it do pass amended. Ayes, Senators Baldwin, Guru, and Schuler. No, Senators Ellis and Jones. Senator Schuler, Chairman. Mr. President, your committee number 3, Revenue, to whom is referred House Bill 174, engrossed, Homestead Exemption Amendments, respectfully report same back to the Senate with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Senators Beitman, French, Ide, McEwen, and Pappas. Senator Beitman, Chairman.
Senator Beitman, are you ready on message number 319 on Senate File 42?
I am, Mr. President.
I'll have that read in, please.
Yes.
Message number 319, referencing Senate File 42, Taxation of Cigars.
Senator Beitman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll move concurrence, message number 319, and ask you to vote no on Senate File 42, Taxation of Cigars. Not sure what they were smoking at the other end of the hall, but it wasn't premium cigars, I'll tell you that. They did a number on our good little bill, and we would just appreciate a chance to convene with them, talk about it, and see what we can compromise to. They added back in the premium cigar definition. They took out the cap and added a 10% excise tax, which triggered a $577,000 appropriation and some other stuff. But let us go talk to them, and we'll come back, Mr. President. We'll make you proud.
You've been asked for concurrence on message number 319, Senate File 42, and you have been asked to vote no. So all in favor, say aye. Oh, roll call, excuse me. God, I want to do it the easy way. Come on, let's do it the easy way.
Concurrence vote on Senate File 42. Anderson? No. Baldwin? No. No. Barlow? No. Beitman?
No.
Boner? No. Bouchard? No. Brennan? No. Case? No. Cooper? No. Dockstetter? No. Ellis? No. French? No. Furphy? No. Guru? No. Hicks? No. Hutchings? No. Ide? No. Jones? No. Kinski? No. Cole? No. Landon? No. Larson? No. McEwen? No. Nethercott? Aye. Pappas? No. Rothfuss? No. Salazar? No. Schuler? No. Scott? No. Steinmetz? No. President Driscoll?
No.
No. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Senate File 42, 1 aye, 30 no.
By your vote, you have failed to concur on Senate File 42, Joint Conference Committee number 1 on Senate File 42, Beitman Chair, Bouchard, and Scott.
Turn with honor.
Mr. Majority Floor Leader, we're at that order of business. Consideration of bills on general file.
Mr. President, I move the Senate resolve itself into committee of the whole.
You've heard the motion. All in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Come forward, Senator Jones. Show us how to do it.
The Committee of the Whole will please come to order, and The first bill for consideration is House Bill 96. The reading clerk will read the House bill.
House Bill 96 engrossed, transfer on death deed insurance coverage, sponsored by Representative Craigo, an act relating to insurance and probate, was referred to committee number 1, which is a committee recommendation that it do pass amended. Ayes, Senators Case, Cooper, Furphy, Landon, and Schuler. Senator Landon, chairman.
You have heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure? Senator Landon.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would move that when the Committee of the Whole rises to report it, do so with a due pass recommendation on House Bill 96. There is a standing committee amendment. I'd ask that that be read in at this time.
House Bill 96, Standing Committee Amendment Number 1 to engrossed copy, page 1, line 2, delete.
Madam Chairman, I will certainly assist in the description of the Standing Committee amendment when the time comes, but for a description of the bill and the amendment, I would ask that you call on Senator Nethercott.
Senator Nethercott.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good senators, you have House Bill 96, which is called Transfer on Death Deed Insurance Coverage. There is an ability to transfer real property immediately upon someone's death, and that's through a transfer on death deed. And so when someone dies, that property is automatically transferred to that individual by virtue of that transfer on death deed. What this bill does is it provides kind of gap insurance coverage, requiring that the insurance coverage on the property at the time of the person's death remains in effect for a period of 60 days post that death, allowing for the new owner to obtain the insurance coverage in their name. That way, there's just not a lapse in coverage on the property. Good senators, you did heard that there was a standing committee amendment read in. I would move standing committee amendment number 1 to House Bill 96 and ask for your favorable consideration. Good senators, this is really just a technical amendment from the insurance practitioners of our state asking for maybe some cleaner language associated with the applicability of that coverage. And so as you can see on the amendment, it strikes out the language property before and just refers to insurance that's applicable to property. So it's just really a technical amendment, and I'd stand for questions on the standing committee amendment. If not, I'd call for the question.
Question on amendment.
All those in favor of Senator Nethercott's motion to adopt the Standing Committee Amendment Number 1 to House Bill 96, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No.
With that, I'm happy to stand for questions on the bill, Madam Chairman.
The motion to adopt Standing Committee House Bill 96 has passed. We're back on the bill. Senator Kinski.
Thank you. Rising in favor of the bill. This came up as a consequence of something that happened a couple of states away, but easily could happen in Wyoming. A fellow had a house, and he left it to his daughter, and he had it insured. He died. The house burned. The insurance company said to the daughter, "It's your house, but you don't have any insurance. Your dad had the insurance. So strike one up for the insurance company." This bill fixes that situation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We also heard some testimony about, very similar to that, about a gentleman who had an untimely death, and his ex-wife showed up and the house got burnt down. I got to thinking about that and realized just how important this bill really is. So I think it, in all seriousness, it is a gap in the coverage that needs to be covered. Thank you.
Are you ready for the question? Yeah. All those in favor of...
I just have one question.
Senator Hicks.
Just why the 60 days, given the gravity of the situation? Was there any discussion to maybe put that out there to 90 to 120 days? I'd sure hate to see the scenario that my colleague just described. So is there something magical about the 60 days, or just why do we get resolved with 60 days?
Senator Ellis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And along those lines, was there any discussion about having the effective date be July 1st? I understand that the industry probably needs some time to plan for this, but also I would hate for that instance to happen between now and July 1st. So just some discussion on whether or not it's feasible to move that date up, maybe not to immediate, but sooner than July 1st.
Senator Nethercott.
Madam Chairman, concerning the coverage for 60 days, I misspoke when I said that. So notification of the new owner of the property needs to take place to the insurance company for 60 days. The insurance is still remaining in effect. Typically, in my experience, the coverage on property remains for what you paid for it. And transferring of the title likely will not affect that coverage potentially. So some of these scenarios that you've heard are some of the facts involved. This is a transfer on death deed, so it's a little bit different, and the full ownership changes, and that notification to the insurance company of who is now responsible for the property, their insured property, and then for payments of additional premiums moving forward needs to be provided within 60 days, but it won't actually affect the coverage. It is actually a way to avoid probate, so it's curious that the bill draft does say probate, but I'm sure the representative discussed that with Ella. So concerning the effective date, I'm not aware of any changes. We certainly asked the members of the committee regarding the effective date, but it is certainly something that estate planners and practitioners would want to be mindful of, and of course the insurance companies as well, to give them time to allow for that, the new change to take place.
Senator Landon.
So, Madam Chairman, thank you. We did talk about both of those issues in committee. Regarding the date, there was some testimony that we could consider moving that date again, but it was not compelling enough that we changed the bill as it came over. Regarding the 60 days, to my good friend from Bags, the bankers would love longer, and the insurance companies would like shorter. So this is kind of a balancing act, and this is a pretty good place to put it if you want to balance the two interests. And so I think that's the best way to describe where the bill stands. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Senator Landon's motion, when the committee of the whole rises to report, that it do so with a favorable recommendation of House Bill 96, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. House Bill 96 has passed the committee of the whole. The next bill for consideration is House Bill 106. Will the reading clerk please read the amendment?
House Bill 106, eminent domain wind energy collector systems, sponsored by Representative Slagle, an act relating to eminent domain, was referred to committee number 7, which returned to committee recommendation that it do pass. Ayes Senators Barlow, Case, and Scott. No Senators Boner and Landon. Senator Case, chairman.
Senator Case.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I hope you like this bill better than an earlier one today that went to the Corporations Committee. But I move that when the Committee of the Whole rises to report, that it do so with a do pass recommendation on House Bill 106, eminent domain wind energy collection systems. And for an explanation, I'd ask that you yield to the bill's sponsor, Senator Steinmetz.
Senator Steinmetz.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just wanted to give you a brief description of our history. When we first saw wind energy coming to the state of Wyoming, we saw fit to put in the provision that they could not use eminent domain. These private companies developing wind energy in the state of Wyoming across private property for their collector systems. That provision expired in 2015. If you go to page 2 of the bill, that is where the change is on line 6. You'll see that this prohibition expired on June 30th of 2015, and we are extending it out to June 30th of 2032. As you know, we've also seen an uptick under this administration in wind energy development, particularly regarding state lands. There have been a lot of leases applied for on state lands, Madam Chairman, that would then need to cross private property with their collector lines in order to hook onto the public utility. So these are for-profit companies that are looking to go across private property. And we just really feel it's an unfair advantage to have the power of eminent domain over a fellow property owner. And it would be a fairness issue to be able to bring them to the table, both parties, to negotiate a proper lease or agreement of some sort in order to see those collector lines cross private property. So, Madam Chairman, kind of a long description of a very short bill. And with that, I would stand for any questions. And if there are no questions, I'd call for the question.
Senator Boner.
Hey, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'll have a committee of the whole amendment. It seems like it's a good time to go ahead and dispose of that.
House Bill 106, standing, or Committee of the Whole Amendment number 1, page 2, line 4, after.
Senator Boner.
Hey, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I move Committee of the Whole Amendment number 1 to House Bill 106. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fairly simple amendment. It really tailors the bill to what I think I understand the concern to be, which is the circumstance which was just described briefly, where, and to be going a little bit more detail, what has occurred in Niobrara and Commerce counties is that there has been a developer, or somebody who claims to be a developer, it seems like they're more of a consultant, who applied for a wind farm on a significant portion of isolated state parcels that run from all the way from a couple miles from the South Dakota border all the way to the Natrona County line. That's the first time. That's problematic for many reasons, not the least of which being the first time the actual leaseholders heard about was through our Office of State Lands. The developer didn't go out and actually contact those landowners directly as a normal wind developer and a successful wind developer probably would. And instead, so it's I think in my mind, this is placing some of the challenges that we've had with, for whatever reason, it's becoming increasingly popular to think that if you're going to develop on property in Wyoming, apparently the first stop is the State Lands Office. That's really problematic from the landowner's perspective. Usually a landowner, if you have that turbine on your property, that's beneficial because you get payments in exchange for the use of that property. If they simply go to the State Lands Office and try to get that parcel right in the middle of your property, that landowner, that leaseholder in that case, isn't getting hardly any benefit. All that they get is a collector line that could be condemned across them. So this amendment, Madam Chairwoman, I think really focuses the bill on the problem that we've been dealing with, the problem that it's my understanding that compelled this bill to begin with, and it doesn't have, and make sure there isn't all these other consequences throughout the state, and especially in the context of a wind farm that maybe, there is good relationships with the landowners, and the landowners, by definition, the wind farm doesn't happen unless the landowner wants it to. It's not like a split state situation or anything like that where a company can come in and develop against the will of the surface owner. So I think that this amendment really focuses the bill on where it needs to be. It focuses on the problem without having any larger effects that it needs to have. And certainly have the discussion about what the effect of this provision was when it was instituted from 2010 to 2015. I know correlation doesn't equal causation, Madam Chairwoman, but the fact is I don't think there's any wind farms built during that time. Conversely, there hasn't been a use of eminent domain in the time since in 2015 since this provision has expired. So I just hope to fix the bill so it focuses on the problem without having any undue consequences. That's the purpose of the amendment. I hope you can support it.
Senator Case.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman. Madam Chairwoman, I'd ask us to resist this amendment. I don't see what the difference is if you have some property, Madam Chairwoman, and they're bringing a transmission line through it, and they're using the power of eminent domain, or more likely what happens, Madam Chairwoman, is the idea of eminent domain is kind of in their back pocket. They say, well, we could use it, and they end up not having to because they can kind of threaten you with that. But Madam Chairwoman, would you really care whether it's the facility is on state land or the transmission line's going to state land when they're going across your property? What difference does that make? I submit to you that it doesn't make any difference. You know, the wind development has been very lucrative for a lot of folks in Wyoming. Landowners that have these on their property are doing well. The lease rates are great. Things are good, except for the developers can use the implied threat of eminent domain to force their transmission facilities, their collector lines, across their neighbors. And that's not such a good deal for the neighbors. And it doesn't matter whether it's state land or whether it's private land. The neighbors are hurt the same. So I ask that we vote this down.
Are you ready for, oh. Senator Hicks.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I would share my colleagues' concern. This is not just a two-county region issue. There's a county that represents the most wind development in the state of Wyoming, and particularly in the checkerboard, the condemnation of eminent domain of that private property, or as described by my colleague, it's the threat. You either sign the lease or we're going to condemn your property. And so this just levels the playing field and says you can't use right of eminent domain. That's the takings of somebody's private property right. That's what eminent domain is. You don't get a lot of say-so unless you want to go to court and battle it out with one of these giant corporations that's putting these facilities in, or these lucrative private facilities that are putting them in, because they're very lucrative, Madam Chairman. So you need to be really, really careful with eminent domain. This is a bigger issue than just one or two counties in the state of Wyoming. It's all the way across the state where we have wind development, Madam Chairman. I would request that you vote no on this amendment.
Senator Boner.
Okay, hopefully we wrap this up. I think that previous speaker gave you a good reason to vote for this amendment. This is the circumstances happening in two counties right now. But if we don't make a statement that this sort of tactic is not okay, I think that you'll see it in other parts of the state as well. So right now it's a Converse Niobrara issue. It could be in your neck of the woods as soon as tomorrow. So I think that. And to the point that somehow, having a collector line is detrimental to your property, I just say that that has not been, that's the first time I heard that is on this floor. We have quite a bit of wind development in east central Wyoming. That's the first time I've heard of it being, this catastrophic thing. And I'll just say, if the theory is that if this is something that's been used in the back pocket, I'd like to hear some evidence of that. I've yet to hear any of my constituents at least complain, and they have had those negotiations absent this provision in law. So I'm for the amendment. Hope you can support it.
Senator Kolb.
I thank you, Madam Chairperson. On and against the amendment. This statute has been working for years. If this was such a big deal, why didn't we hear about it until now? I think eminent domain should be only exercised in extreme cases. And if you're talking about getting a benefit out of this, or it's in your best interest, I suppose, maybe that's something that we should resist. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
All those in favor of Senator Boner's motion to adopt the Committee of the Whole Amendment Number 1 to House Bill 106, please say aye. Opposed, no? No. The motion to adopt Standing Committee of the Whole Amendment Number 1 to House Bill 106 has failed. We are back on the bill. Senator Landon.
Madam Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to rise and explain why I was a no vote in committee. We heard a lot of testimony this morning on this bill. One of the pieces of testimony that was compelling to me was the fact that this sunsetted in 2015, and there have been no cases in the past 8 years of any company taking advantage of this, or even any case of this eminent domain being exercised. It feels like what we had going on over in the eastern part of the state, Madam Chairman, is a communication issue. It involved our state lands agency. And yet the bill doesn't reflect that. It goes back into the statutes and resurrects something that has been sunsetted for 8 years. I just, you can't have things both ways. I absolutely am a private property guy. I've always voted that way. I care deeply about it because of my upbringing out in the rural part of the state. But you have to allow for the fact that there may be some development here and there. And so I'm still trying to get there on this bill, but that's why I was just not quite there in committee. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Senator Case.
Madam Chairwoman, thank you so much. Madam Chairwoman, there's been a lot happening in this industry in Wyoming, but for several years there was nothing happening. And a lot of folks alleged that it was because Wyoming has a production tax on wind energy. That's not it. The plain truth is there wasn't any transmission. Now, I don't know about you folks that drive over I-80. You probably avoid it because you don't want to pay the toll. But if you do drive over I-80, get there down by Fort Steele, you'll notice a big new transmission line coming across there. It's about 3 years old. Two of them, and more to come. This is what's causing a resurrection of efforts to build wind capacity in Wyoming and solar capacity as well. And Madam Chairwoman, the whole deal, look at the language in the law. They can use eminent domain to cross your property. They can. So that changes the whole tenor of the negotiations, and they're probably not bad negotiations, but I'll tell you, if they didn't have this power, the negotiation would be different. But the fact that we haven't done much in 8 years is because we didn't have transmission. Now we got transmission, buku of it, and the bonanza's on. And look, I'm all for a green future for America. I want to do my part to help our West Coast friends, but I'm telling you, it's not fair that we get taken advantage of in the process. So Wyoming needs to get a fair deal, and our landowners that are not part of the negotiations for placement of the farms, but yet are caught up in the detritus of their collection lines, need to get a fair deal too. And I stand with them.
All those in favor of Senator Case's motion that when the committee of the whole rises to report, that it do so with a favorable recommendation of House Bill 106, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. House Bill 106 has passed the committee of the whole. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 142. Will the reading clerk read that in, please?
House Bill 142 engrossed, notice of annexation sponsored by Representative Western, an act relating to cities and towns, was referred to committee number 7, which returned to committee recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Senators Barlow, Boner, Case, Landon, and Scott. Senator Case, chairman.
Senator Case.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman. This is another one of those little troublesome bills that the Corporation Committee handled, but hopefully we got this one right. I move that when the Committee of the Whole rises to report, it do so with a due pass recommendation on House Bill 142, notice of annexation. A co-sponsor of the bill, good Senator Kinski, is here, and he'll take it from here.
Senator Kinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Chair. This bill is a fairly simple bill that was brought to myself and Representative Western by a constituent on what is a glaring oversight in our annexation statute. This particular constituent owns a home that backs up to the county. She's in the city, and right behind her backyard, it's county property, Prairie. And she found out that the county property behind her had been annexed to the city 6 months ago. She'd received no notice of it. And the reason for that is just a deficiency in statute that this bill would correct. So what this bill does is reaches into Title 15, Article 4, annexation, determination of boundaries, addition, and exclusion of land. And in that, there's a definition of what a landowner is. Landowners are who receives notice of an annexation. Landowner means the owner of real property in the territory proposed to be annexed. So if you're in the property that's being annexed, you get notice. And that's set out in 15-1-402A6. The annexing city or town, not less than 20 business days prior to the public hearing required, sends by certified mail to all landowners and affected public utilities within the territory a summary of the annexation report. So they're only required to mail to the people who are in the property to be annexed, not to anybody who lives in and around the property in the county, not to anybody who lives in, around, or adjacent to the property in the city. And so this bill is quite simple. In that same section I just referenced, on page 2 of the bill, line 5, right after 4 where it says notice to all landowners, on 5 we add, and by first-class mail to any persons owning property that is adjacent to or within 300 feet of the territory proposed to be annexed, regardless of whether the property is inside or outside the corporate limits of the annexing city or town, and regardless of whether the city or town is exercising authority under 15-3-202, et cetera. So basically it says, send a notice out to everybody that's near the property so they know it's about to be annexed. In this case, the particular constituent found out the property had been annexed 6 months after the fact. When she received notice, they wanted to subdivide the property. The subdivision codes requires notice, but not of the annexation. And the property to be annexed, the reason this is important is for two things, and both applied in her situation. First, the property to be annexed was zoned for multifamily. She has a single-family home. I mean, anybody owning a single-family home wants to know if there's going to be high-density multifamily going up next to them. And the other thing is that they have a little private road that's used only for emergency access that the developer on the property to be developed just said, by the way, that'll be the road in and out of our new subdivision. All of that trouble could have been avoided if they'd known in advance of the annexation. All of that could have been worked out instead of trying to fix it all 6 months later. So with that, I would urge an affirmative. Oh, and then one other thing is there's an association that represents the municipalities, and they have endorsed this fix. They said they like the annexation codes with this one glaring exception that really needs to be fixed. With that, I would stand for questions.
All those in favor of Senator Case's motion that when the committee of the whole rises to report, that it do so with a favorable recommendation of House Bill 142, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 142 has passed the committee of the whole. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 239.
House Bill 239, Vehicle Idling Decriminalization, sponsored by Representative Singh, an act relating to motor vehicles, was referred to Committee Number 8, which returned a committee recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Senators Boner, Brennan, Furphy, Kolb, and Pappas. Senator Boner, Chairman.
Senator Boner.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I move that when the committee of the whole rises to report, do so with a favorable recommendation, House Bill 239. I refer an explanation of the bill to our colleague from Laramie County.
Senator Brennan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I bring to you guys House Bill 239 and ask for your favorable vote. This is vehicle idling decriminalization. if you look on page 1 in line 13, this bill would strike, starting with first in line 14, and then on to page 2, line 1, the word ignition. Why do we want to do this? Well, right now, it's currently illegal for anyone to leave their vehicle running unattended on public roads. If you do, you risk a $200 fine and a misdemeanor. This law was put in effect back in like 1955. A few things had changed since then. And some, like myself, like to warm our vehicles up, cool them down. So I just ask that you guys please vote yes on this bill. And if you have any questions, I would stand for that.
All those in favor of Senator Boner's motion that when the Committee of the Whole rises to report, it do so with a favorable recommendation of House Bill 239, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 239 has passed the Committee of the Whole. Majority Floor Leader Hicks.
Chairwoman, would you like me to say Committee of the Whole rise and report?
Yes, yes, please.
Madam Chairman, I move the Committee of the Whole rise and report.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
The motion carried.
Committee will come to order. Do we have a Committee of the Whole report, please?
Mr. Vice President, the Committee of the Whole, having had under considerations bills on general file, begs leave to report as follows. House Bill 96 engrossed, do pass amended. House Bill 106, do pass. House Bill 142 engrossed, do pass. House Bill 239, do pass. Senator Jones, Chairman.
You've heard. Senator Jones, please.
Mr. Vice President, I move for the adoption of the Committee of the Whole reports.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Are there any announcements? Mr. Floor Leader, that clears the desk.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, I move the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, February 15th.
Are there any announcements? Senator Baldwin.
Why, thank you, Mr. Vice President. As a matter of fact, I do have an announcement. Labor, Health, and Social Services, your committee number 10, will meet tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m., room 6 in the extension and online, to hear House Bill 127, Healthcare Facilities and Clergy, House Bill 165, Living Organ Donor Protection. Another reminder, tomorrow at noon, the Board of Pharmacy will be presenting a special on fentanyl in room 6 of the extension, if you wish to learn more.
Thank you, Senator Dockstader.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Your Minerals Committee number 9 will meet upon noon recess Wednesday, February 15th, Capitol Extension Room W4, and online to discuss House Bill 42, off-road recreational vehicle operation, House Bill 62, open banking.
Senator Scott.
Mr. Vice President, Committee Number 4, Education, will meet tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. in room W110 downstairs. House Bill 27, School Facilities Consolidation Remediation Schedule. House Bill 31, BOCES as local education agencies. And House Bill 33, Gross School Finance Career Technical Education Grants.
Senator Schuler.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senate Committee Number 6, Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, and Cultural Resources will meet Thursday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll try to continue on with our property tax refund program, HB 99. Then we will go on to House Bill 123, Collection of Antler Horns by Residents and Non-Residents. House Bill 276, Shed Antlers and Horns Conservation Stamp. And if we have time, we'll hear HB 74, Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Trust Fund.
Senator Steinmetz.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Your Committee Number 5, Agriculture, State and Public Lands and Water Resources Committee will meet today at 3:15 in room W2 and online to consider the following bills. House Bill 22, State Land Lease Deficiencies Cure Process, which was held over. House Bill 17, State Lands Grazing of Non-Owned Livestock. House Bill 180, Brucellosis Testing Notification Requirements. And House Bill 188, Wolf Depredation Compensation if time permits.
Senator Boner.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Your Committee Number 8, Transportation, Highways, and Military Affairs will meet upon adjournment tomorrow, February 15th, in Capitol Extension Room W2 and online to consider the following bills. House Bill 59, Wyoming National Guard Tuition Benefits. House Bill 38, Wyoming National Guard Member Referral. House Bill 56, Purple Star Schools. And House Bill 67, Special License Plate Decals, Women Veterans.
Senator Landon.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Your Committee 1, Judiciary, will meet tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. 8:30 start to accommodate those who are wanting to attend the governor's prayer breakfast, and we will meet down in W4, 8:30 to take up House Bill 101, Uniform Trust Code Amendments.
Any more announcements? Senator Beitman.
Privilege of the floor, please.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just a public service announcement or two. First one, Senator Case, pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. I know, that's what you gotta make that. Second one is, for my hunting friends, tonight is Valentine's Day. 9 months from now, you could be hunting by the campfire, or you could be changing diapers. Make wise decisions.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Senate shall stand adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow.